Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Reese Angulata and I'm in desperate need of a haircut. In this new segment, I'm going to be covering 4 things that I found really cool or helpful or useful or just generally interesting in the last month. And let you know what my thoughts are really. In this month's segment, I'm going to cover a video game, 2 books, and a YouTube channel that I found really useful after discovering earlier in the month. As usual, I've left timestamps right here and also in the description below, so you can jump around to whatever you think you're going to be interested in. But with that said, let's just jump right into it. First thing that I found really cool this month is Final Fantasy VIII Remaster. I picked it up on the Switch, and I have been enjoying it so much. It's such a good game, and I'm actually old enough to have played the original and still own the original on PS1, along with Final Fantasy VII. This came out in 1999, which somewhat shows my age a little bit, but hey, it's aged really well considering, and the HD remaster is fantastic because all they've basically done is updated the models so they're less sort of polygonish. They've left the backgrounds as is because that was all sort of art drawn anyway, and doesn't really take too much away from it, which is fantastic. It's exactly the same game that I've loved for the last however many years it's been, but you know, just modernised and on the Switch, which is amazing. I don't need to sit down and play it anymore. I can take it with me on like commutes or planes or train rides or car rides or whatever. It's great. It's got some really cool quality of life features as well. So if you can click in the left thumbstick, that triples the speed of the game, which makes going from A to B super quick and super easy, which is a game changer because that was one of the thing with those 90s games, is that traversing the overworld maps are generally pretty slow. And interestingly, by tripling the speed, the loading times are also tripled. Don't know. But that's great. Another one is if you click in the right stick, that basically makes you invulnerable. So you can just play it for the story if you want. If you just wanted a refresher on what the game was like back then, there you go. This game follows the protagonist Squall and his merry band of companions as they sort of go about their adventures after becoming part of an elite mercenary force called CD. It's very JRPG in its kind of fashion, I suppose. So if you're into JRPGs, you're going to love it. If you're not, maybe Final Fantasy VIII isn't the first one you want to jump into, but it's a really great one. And for kind of nostalgia gamers, it's so good. It's so nice to jump back into that world. The soundtrack in particular is just amazing. That's aged so well. Really recommend checking out the game, even if just for that. The opening scene, man. The opening scene. So the game's actually only about £15 currently on the Nintendo eStore. £15, like $20, whatever that is in your local currency. So it's a real bargain, to be honest. I'd pick it up. It's such a nice thing to be able to finish for the day, stop working, sit down and get a bit of game time in. The thing is, I know on this channel I talk about productivity and making the most out of your time at work. However, there's kind of that other aspect of it where you need to be able to switch off and do things that you enjoy. For me, video games are one of those things that I really enjoy. So when I finish at the end of the day and I've got a couple of hours spare, I like to just be able to sit in the corner, put on my Switch, play a bit of Final Fantasy VIII. So that's been one of my top picks for the month. The second thing of the month that I've really enjoyed is Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. Now, Ali Abdaal got me onto this because he's been banging on about it forever on his channel and also on Twitter. So I finally bit the bullet, I picked it up. It was really cheap actually, only £7 odd, I think. So yeah, worth picking up if you're interested in sort of developing your own brand, I guess, your own social brand and building a community around you, or even just networking with other like-minded individuals, right? So what Kleon sort of recommends in the book is, well, a general TLDR anyway. Kleon generally recommends that if you're trying to sort of build an audience or you want to make the most from the effort that you put into your work, the best thing you can do is to show the process. Because the reality is that people like to see how the sausage is made. They like to see behind the scenes. So if you're an artist, instead of this pre-digital age where you would just sort of hide away in your shed and you'd paint your masterpiece and then 20 odd years later you would emerge like a graceful butterfly and stick that up in a gallery and then people can marvel at your wonder. You can actually connect with people and build this sort of fan base and audience and really interact with them by showing them the process. The ups, the downs, the pros, the cons, all of that great stuff. And you just get more engaging a more engaged community, shall we say, by doing things that way. So that's what Cleon recommends. I've been trying out some of this stuff on Twitter and Instagram. I'm a lot more active on there now, particularly with engaging other creators in the field. So I've been replying a lot of YouTubers and trying to get involved in conversations and stuff. And that's been amazing, actually, becoming part of the actual digital world properly, being a resident rather than a bystander. It's a bit sort of intimidating. Yeah, it's a little intimidating, but once you're in that world and you're interacting with that world and you're meeting people, it's amazing. You learn really what this new digital world is. And I sound really old going about it this way, but that's what I've learned. I may do another video on that book just in its entirety at some point. I'm actually going through my second read of it now. I'm going to take lots of notes and really digest all of the points that are in it because I find it really valuable. I see what Ali saw in that book now, so I'm going to do the same. Really helpful. Austin Kleon, show your work, get it. Super cheap. The third pick of the month is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. Now, Richard Osman, if you don't know, if you're not from the UK, is one of the co-hosts and co-creators of a TV show in the UK called Pointless, which is really great. It's really clever and witty and interesting. And he basically released his first fiction novel. Basically, The Thursday Murder Club follows a bunch of retirees in their resident home who, like in their spare time on Thursdays, like to meet up and solve all of these unfinished cases from back in the 70s and 80s that had just been forgotten about by police investigators, and just see if they can get anywhere with them. More as a hobby than anything. But at some point, a murder happens. And now they have the opportunity to try and actually solve a fresh murder case and try and help the police. It's really cool. It's a really fun little book, actually. It's really entertaining, very witty, as Richard Osman is, very, very witty, and just really quite pleasant. It's been a really nice sort of evening read that I can chill out with. It's also really endearing in its own weird way. I think what Osman's managed to achieve is capturing that sort of the storytelling that a Nan would do. So when I was reading some of the, first person bits of the book from the perspective of the residents, a lot of them sounded like how my Nan tells her stories, which is really sweet. And I just, you can't help but love them. You just fall in love with the worlds, you fall in love with these characters, and it's fantastic. I'd really recommend that book. It's been brilliant. It's really approachable, it's really easy to read. Pick it up, give it a go, let me know what you think in the comments. That would be amazing. Lastly, my final pick for the month is the YouTube channel Becky and Chris. I came across Becky and Chris's channel when I was looking on ideas of how to color grade. So I am shooting using a Sony a7 II, and I was always I was fine with how the picture quality looked, but I wanted to make it more kind of cinematic in that Peter McKinnon style. So yeah, I kind of ended up on that and had a look around to see how things were shot and how to make sense of it all. And it turns out they use a very specific color grading. This is boring camera nausea now, so bear with me. But they use this specific color profile called S-Log2. And I was like, don't know what that is, need more information. So went to their channel, looked at a bunch of tutorials on how to actually use S-Log2, how to color grade it, how it works, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, they broke it down really simply, really easy. It's brilliant. It's fantastic. They do such a good job of it. They also provided a free LUT, so you can process that super quickly as well. So while the learning curve was mega, I'm there, we're learning, things are good. Once I got past their tutorials, the content on their channel is fantastic. They are such good filmmakers. And honestly, it's so inspiring to see more content creators out there doing their own thing and adding their own personality to things. Their vibe's great. The way their aesthetic, their general aesthetic is so cool. It's something that I wish I had. I don't. I have no idea what I am. I am this. This is me. But one day I hope I have enough sort of self-confidence to find my own brand as they have. One massive recommendation. Chris of the Becky and Chris fame is actually a practicing doctor. He had an AIDS scare from an infected needle back last year, and they documented the entire process of finding out that he might be HIV positive and what they had to go through to make sure that he had the right medication, and sort of exploring that world. And it goes into kind of insurance companies and how scary it is, particularly from Becky's perspective, as well as Chris's, of course. It's eye-opening. It's so good. And honestly, that documentary on its own, it's like 20 minutes long, 30 minutes long. It could be on Netflix. No doubt. Easy. It's so good and it's so well shot. Recommend that. I'm going to link that in the below as well, so you can check that out straight away. That's it. If you do go to the channel because of that, leave a comment. Just say that I sent you here. That'd be amazing. I had a quick chat with them on Twitter just to thank them really for their S-Log tutorials. So that's really great. I would love to engage with them a bit more in the future, and hopefully I can. That's the dream, to meet some other really cool people. That is my 4 monthly favourites. So just to recap, I have a game, Final Fantasy VIII, 2 books, Austin Kleon, I'll Show Your Work, and Richard Osman's Thursday Club, Richard Osman's Thursday Murder Club, and 4 Becky and Chris, the YouTube channel. That's everything. If you enjoyed this new sort of format, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear your feedback from it. If you enjoyed this video, give me a like, I'd really appreciate that. And subscribe if you want to see more from me. I upload new videos every Monday at 9 AM GMT. But that's everything for now. Ta-ra.